Hey guys, Kurt from Time Machine Transport. Um, Still dealing with this damn pinched nerve issue in my shoulder, so I'm just hanging around the house today, not doing much. But I was watching some stuff on YouTube this morning, and everybody knows the situation going on in Minneapolis with the rioting and so on and so forth. So the governor has called out the National Guard. This was a live stream from Fox News 107 minutes ago, according to my computer. So my wife and I were watching a TNT movie the other night, and it was about these SEAL teams going after these terrorist groups, and it was about these terrorists. They had put on or they were making these suicide ceramic ball bearings, but they were made out of ceramic, and they weren't detected with metal detectors. So anyways, they were coming through the border over by California or whatever, and my wife and she made a really good point. She says, what if that's, we're all looking at this virus thing as a negative thing. Just like people look at the chemtrails. Oh, shoot. Sorry. Just like people look at the chemtrails as being negative. Well, they're trying to kill us and so on and so on. And I believe, that the aluminum, the barium, and the strontium aren't healthy for us. But I truly think myself that the chemtrails obviously aren't here to kill us. If they wanted us dead, we'd all be dead already. My guess is that sorry guys, my neck is just killing me. So are they spraying the chemtrails to save us because there's so much radiation coming in through the ozone that they're kind of like, well, if we don't spray it, we're doomed, and if we do spray it, we're doomed. At least we can try to prevent these solar radiations from coming in and cooking us to death. So there is, I truly believe that the chemtrails are to protect us, and so does my wife, and so do many other people. And then there's the other people that think they're putting this stuff in our air to kill us, and that's your right. If that's your theory, hey, go for it. Go for it. That sounds so 80. Just do what you gotta do. Don't go for it. But anyways, so she had talked to me. She says, do you think that excuse me, that this whole lockdown thing is to, kind of protect the people? And that's why they wanted to put us in, so they can pinpoint, there's sleeper cells all around this country is what we've been told, and what I've listened to and what I've read. Excuse me. So I gotta take off this neck brace. I can barely breathe. Wearing a freaking neck brace to support my big ass head for this nerve thing, so I was kind of choking. Excuse me. So she says, do you think that, maybe that's part of the virus thing, is they're trying to keep us indoors so they can pinpoint these terrorist cells? And it's very plausible. It's a good theory. Also, they were talking about going door to door to door to door to door to door. And I've said in many videos before, if you can't find a positive, or if you can't find a positive out of a negative, you're not searching hard enough. There's always a positive out of a negative. Always, always, always. And I'm not siding with the government on this one. I'm just saying it's a good theory. So them wanting to go door to door to door to door to check people for this virus thing, that would be able to allow them into everybody's houses to see what they're doing. I'm not saying let them in your house. I have not switched my beliefs in the way I think. I'm just saying it's a good theory that they want to go in everybody's houses to check to see if, whoever says they live there lives there, and they don't have bombs and everything else laying on tables. So it is a good theory, and that's the one good thing about YouTube and what we listen to and what we watch and what we read, is you have an open mind. So have an open mind to this. I still have not changed my theory at all. I think it's about control as well, but it is a good theory. And hi, baby, I love you. But anyways, so this right here on this Fox News with this general, he talks about the governor calling them in and protect or doing basically security missions to protect the police. It's like they want to protect the police more than the citizens. And I get it, but aren't you there to protect the citizens first and foremost? I mean, that's why we have police departments, isn't it? So I'm going to show you what he says here. There's a long pause at the end, and it's only a few minutes, but I paused it here so you guys can listen to why they're there, obviously, but you can also listen. He has a pause, and then he says that there's another mission that the National Guard is going to work with the city of Minneapolis, but he can't go into detail. So my theory is, are they going to implement martial law there? And is this, and you know, my heart goes out to Mr. Floyd's family, but there is something by Roy Potter Q&A I listened to this morning that said there is stuff coming out that Mr. Floyd, the gentleman that was killed by the Minneapolis city cop, the Minneapolis city cop that killed Floyd was a 19-year veteran and also had 12 misconduct cases against him while he's been a police officer. So it seems like he's definitely a excessive force kind of guy or unnecessary force kind of guy. But I guess there's stuff coming out saying that the black man, Mr. Floyd, and the cop that had his knee on Floyd's neck had worked together or did work together as security officers for some gym or some nightclub or something like that. So there's info coming out that these two knew each other. I mean, was it a vindictive thing where I believe he's dead. I mean, but then again, on the other side of the fence, on the flip side of things, maybe it is a false flag for them to bring in Antifa and start riots, and then you bring in the National Guard, and then now you have your complete lockdown. And they did say in this live stream through Fox, the governor did say there is going to be a curfew. So it kind of seems like they're going down the road of martial law. And you'll hear what the general says here on, like I said, they're working with the city of Minneapolis on another mission, but he can't go into detail. Then there's also something from Tucker Carlson on Fox. They have the police chief of Minneapolis talk about how the police officers are going to stay clear of the rioting areas to protect the police officers. Well, isn't that why we have police and SWAT teams and crowd control and tear gas and everything else? So that doesn't make any sense. Once again, they want to protect the police and not the citizens. So I really think they're going into a martial law thing. Also, it's just weird. I mean, the police officers aren't going to be going into the rioting areas. They're just going to let them run around and be thieves and vandals and everything else. So, and then we're going to go to Roy Potter's thing, because if you guys aren't aware, Minnesota has a lot of terrorist camps, like training camps, Somalian. And one time I was, one time I was actually training a new driver, and his name is Hamadi, and he's from Somalia. And he and I were talking in the truck one day, and this shows you that our phones are definitely listening to us. And he had mentioned Somalia and terrorists, just out of regular conversation. That's why he wanted to get out of Somalia, because of the jihadists and Al-Qaeda and all that kind of stuff. So, and then about 10 minutes later, something pops up in my email about Minnesota and terrorist camps, terrorist training camps. So that was pretty interesting. Excuse me. Sorry, I got to take a drink of water. So along the line of the theory, like my wife says, are they locking us down because they know that there's going to be some sort of terrorist activities all around the country, and they're just kind of weeding them out as they go? That's a good theory. But are they going after the terrorist camps in Minnesota? And that's why the city of Minneapolis is using these false flag events to bring in the National Guard, so then in turn they can do raids or come after these terrorist cells in Minnesota, these camps. I mean, everything that it's all plausible. It's all good theories. So I'll stop yakking my jaws and we'll start listening to the video. Here we go.
We performed 4 missions in support of the governor's executive order. The first mission came from the governor directly. That came when we were notified of an immediate and pending threat to the state capitol. My immediate advice to the governor was to assign that mission to the Minnesota National Guard. And he agreed, with one caveat, and that is the State Patrol also wanted to support that mission. So in cooperation with the State Patrol, we began that mission. The second and third mission came together. It came from St. Paul. Specifically, it was to provide security of the Ramsey County Law Enforcement Center and the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension. The key part of that security was to ensure that St. Paul police officers were not required to secure those facilities, and they were therefore relieved of that duty and able to respond throughout the city of St. Paul throughout the day. And then the last mission we did receive yesterday evening was an escort mission for the Minneapolis Fire Department. The concept of the operation is that we would link up with the Minneapolis Police Department, and as they went into unsecure and dangerous areas, that we would secure the area so they could perform their life-saving and property-saving missions. And we continued to do those missions through the evening. As the governor indicated, about midnight this morning, the governor authorized a law and order mission into the 3rd precinct, what we would call in the military a clear and security mission. So under the leadership of the State Patrol and the Department of Public Safety, the Minnesota National Guard was assigned a task and a mission in support of the State Patrol. We would follow the State Patrol and we would help secure the area that they cleared. Our soldiers remain in that area as I speak now, still on that mission, still securing that location. So people and MnDOT can come in and begin the cleanup of that area. Now, we also have picked up one other mission with the city of Minneapolis. I won't cover the exact details, but it's ongoing right now with the Minneapolis Police Department. And I'm very proud of the relationship.
So he just said that he can't go into detail, but they're working with the Minneapolis, the city of Minneapolis and St. Paul's police departments that they're working on right now. So I'm wondering if it's going to be martial law. I know they have implemented a curfew, which I'm sure these people over there rioting and burning an AutoZone and a Target and running in and stealing TVs. And at the end of the day, that's just felonious activities. That's theft. That's endangering public safety. That has nothing to do with protesting for a black man. It has no point. Yeah, burning other people's things and stealing and running and looting and that cures nothing. That just creates more problems. I don't understand that. We had a riot in Milwaukee a few years ago. They were doing and it's very, very sad because there was, in one of the videos that I watched this morning, there were some people that had it on film and they were filming a car, shoot at the white folk, shoot at the white folk. Now, if I said that as a white man, shoot at the black folks, I would be a racist. I don't understand. But anyways, I'm not here to talk about black and white or Black Lives Matters. Black Lives Matter stuff is bullshit. All lives matter at the end of the day. I'm not saying that I believe all 4 of those cops that were involved, if it is a true event, which I really think it is, those 4 officers, the one that had his knee on Mr. Floyd's neck that he killed him, he needs to go to prison for murder for the rest of his life. The other cops that were there with him should be charged with accessory to murder. And they should all, I guess all four of them have been fired. They lost their jobs. Thank goodness. But rioting out of this is not going to help anything. But those four cops need to go to prison. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. But I'll stop talking about it. But anyways, let's get into Tucker Carlson, what he says, and then we'll go to Roy Potter.
Things are falling apart in Minneapolis. And as they collapse, our leadership class...
So there's a point here. This is, like I said, this is when we're going to go to the police chief of Minneapolis.
They're doing nothing to put context to setting fire to McDonald's, says Professor Glaude. It's interesting. So you've got to...
Oh, so look at this right here.
I saw a sign saying white-owned business.
This is a black-owned business. I don't... That's horseshit, man. They are trying to separate us, man. That if I had on our business, on my trucking company, if I had these on our trucks, this is a white-owned business. Are you kidding me? I would... I don't get it. And I get it because people want to save their stores. But are you saying that people are just doing this for race wars? It's sad. Anyways, let's go to what I really wanted to talk about here. So right here. This is where the dumbass police chief of Minneapolis, this is why we have cops. If you don't want to be a cop, then quit. If you're a police officer and you have to, and they do riot training. So for these guys and gals, we'll just go to listen here. Sorry.
These police chief explained why he doesn't plan to do anything at all to stop riots than that. But Minneapolis has decided to just let their riot happen and damn the consequences. Watch the city's police chief explain why he doesn't plan to do anything at all to stop rioters.
So what you're saying is it's too dangerous for police to directly confront the looters. So you've made the decision to maybe let that site go for now and focus on keeping the rest of the neighborhood as safe as possible?
Absolutely. Our officers have been through several hours here, Molotov cocktails thrown at them, rocks and other projectiles. And so obviously their safety is paramount. And so I don't want them going into an area where they're at risk of harm themselves.
Obviously, the safety of officers is paramount, announces the chief. The interviewer says nothing. But in fact, that's not at all obvious. In fact, it's perfectly backward. Society's first concern is the safety of citizens, especially the weakest citizens. That's why we have police in the first place.
Yes.
To protect people who cannot protect themselves, the public. Not everyone wants to do that job, and that's fine. Do something else. But we can't allow this. Imagine if the Secret Service adopted the same attitude. Sorry, can't protect the president today. Too risky. How about the military? We'd love to repel the invasion, but unfortunately, we might get hurt.
Okay, now we'll go to Roy Patterson. Now, this is very interesting. Right here.
Today's the 29th of May, 2020. I don't know why I keep doing this. That was fast. On a few nights ago, talking about that we need to brace for impact. And the person that gave me that information has been right on. You know what's going on in Minnesota and around the country. These are being more fed. They're being fed by the leftist side and Chinese agents, I am sure. As a matter of fact, I told you that the Chinese would use forward operatives as well as people in the different leftist organizations that will listen to them, that they control. I got word last night that Antifa, and this morning, that Antifa has, Jack Posobiec put it out as a matter of fact, that Antifa has social media communications alerting where the police presence is in Minnesota so that the crowds can avoid it. That's going to change from just mere avoidance to ambushes at some time in the very near future. I don't know what else to say about it other than that this just bolstered my respect for, which I already had for this individual that contacted me, bolstered my respect for him even more. So don't think that these things are just normal race riots. There's a question about the police officer that apparently killed this man. His neighbors didn't know he was a police officer, apparently. Both the victim and this supposed cop worked as security officers at a local gym, I guess it was, or club. There's a lot of anomalies here. I'm not saying that it was staged. I think the guy really died, but I'm not certain what the situation is, and I'm not going to speculate on it. All I know is that my source was right. Things are going to go to hell. Nancy Morgan Hart a few days ago said this will be the summer of chaos. So, everybody can feel it. Everybody knows it. So guard yourselves. Stay armed. Stay prepared. Have your food and water, like we always say. It's a broken record. This whole thing that's happening now will further disrupt logistics in our country, communications, food supply, all of that business. It's gonna get to all of it. All right. So I wanted to bring that up, and then one final thing: don't trust the CDC or the WHO, the World Health Organization. Don't trust anything that they put out. I had an individual, but why do you believe what the CDC? They used a figure of how to do math, number of cases by other things, but that natural deaths, all of that, and I put that up on my Twitter this morning, an article from a doctor from the National Health Service in Britain. But I trust them more than I do our wars, so I tweeted that out too, so that you could see that for yourself. So that's what's going on. I think we're in for it, and these leftist organizations are going to start acting more militantly, more militarily. So be ready. Yeah, I don't really, Justin Moore, I understand you're saying he didn't die, that it was a setup. I don't know. It looked real to me. I've seen that kind of thing happen before. It looked real to me, but it doesn't matter. The police officer is the suspicious one. Minnesota is saying that they have Minneapolis is saying they have other footage that proves that it wasn't excessive use of force, which I don't buy. Okay, Minnesota is a cauldron of liberal and Islamic extremism. Okay, you can't trust anything that comes out of there. But that's been my point, and that was the point of my.
All right, guys. So that, like I said, that is what Roy Potter has to say. Let's go to our channel now. But anyway, so there are a lot of Islamic extremists there. I mean, they have that Congresswoman Omar. And I'm not saying because she's a Muslim she's bad, but her and what do they call them? The crew or I forgot what they call them. Anyways, her and Ocasio-Cortez and those other, the squad, that's what it was. So anyways, so there are, so just think about, everything is, well, I'm not speculating. My wife Sarah's not speculating, but it was a good theory she had. And I may have said something like that in one of my videos a few months back, and when I did into my truck talking about Trump and how, if they are preparing us for war, that maybe they're doing this to keep us inside so that they can kind of do a process of elimination for, so they can kind of, drag and weed out these terror cells. So it's very plausible. Like I said, it is just a theory, but you just heads up, man, and have your head on a swivel and be prepared, because I truly think that this Minneapolis thing, I just walked in, I left it on, because I did a video before this and it screwed up, so I wanted to catch the general again talking, and it was still in its live stream. So when I came back into the office, the governor was talking, and I think they mentioned a curfew for tonight. I don't know if it's just for the weekend or if it's going to be forever, but I think what's going to happen is, because that general said that they're working on another mission with St. Paul and the city of Minneapolis, that they're working on a mission that he can't go into detail on. So I really, truly think it's going to be martial law. And who knows, maybe this is the one that kicks off the event. But as Roy Potter said, there's information coming out that Mr. Floyd and the cop that killed him worked together at a gym or a club or something like that. And I said a nightclub before, but he just said a gym or a club. So, and also the cop had, like I said, was a 19-year veteran. According to the Minneapolis Police Department, when I looked it up, the cop is a 19-year veteran and he has 12 misconduct cases against him. But Roy Potter just said when the news, because that's what the news does, they'll go and they'll interview your neighbors. Oh, was he a psychopath? Did he have were there any signs, this and that? And according to what Roy Potter just said, the news that went over and interviewed his neighbors, they said they didn't even know he was a cop. So if you're a cop, your neighbors know you're a cop, especially after 19 years. If obviously, I mean, where we live, we have a few cops and I've noticed them. And I'm okay with that. But you notice a cop because they wear a uniform. You notice a cop. If you're living in that area for so long, you know if your neighbor's a cop or not. So that's very intriguing. So I really think that this is kind of going to be it's going to be a martial law event is my true belief. So I'll stop babbling now. I hope it was informative, and I hope also this video finds you well. Stay prepared, be safe, and please like and subscribe to the channel. Ciao.